G'day, I'm Scotty T at Dam Aussie Pond Guy, and in this series I'll be showing you some tips, tricks and products that will make managing your pond a whole lot easier. So if you want to learn more about all things ponds, then give us a call, shoot us an email or subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the juicy info that'll make your life a hell of a lot easier. Right, so I've laid out all the components for the Matala Biosteps 10 filter, including the instructions, which have got good parts diagrams in there as well. But let's face it, reading instructions most people consider un-Australian, so I'll step you through it, and when you're installing it, hopefully this video will make your life a lot easier. And it's not a difficult process, so we'll step you through it piece by piece. So the first thing that we're going to do is assemble the inlet fittings to the filter. Now, when you're looking at the case or the tank of the filter, if you like, there's one side that's got two holes in it, and one side that has one hole in it. So the side with two holes is where we want to focus on when we're putting the inlet in. The two holes, the top one is for the inlet, which is what we're going to start with now, and the bottom one is for the sludge drain fitting, which we'll assemble in a second. So the fittings for the inlet are laid out here, and if we start off with these three fittings, there's this O-ring, there's actually three of these in the system. There's four different O-rings. Two of them are flat, like this one, and two of them are round, like these ones. Or they're both round, but round in terms of the body of it, for want of a better description or explanation. So what we want to do is there's three of these O-rings that we're going to start with, and the other size is a larger size and it only has two. That's not what we want yet. So that's how you distinguish which O-ring you're going to use for this fitting. So the inlet fitting itself is this one here. It's threaded on one side and flat on the other. And again, there's two of those types of fittings in the kit. The one that we're working with at the moment is the smaller of the two. So we've got the smaller of the flat O-ring, the smaller of the half thread, half what you call a slip fit fitting, and then we've also got this little nut, this locking nut that fits onto this. All right, what we'll do first is take the O-ring and slip it over the threads. And then what we'll do with this is run that on the inside of the tank, up the top, like that, so it pokes out, and then we take this nut, and the nut gets screwed onto there, and that locks it into place. So that's that done there. Next step is we take our inlet fittings. So here we've got this 90-degree elbow, threaded elbow with a blue locking nut on it, and the clear multi-stage hose tail. So this is designed to take 25, 32, 19, 25, 32 or 40 mil hose. And then we have this other blue locking nut and two O-rings. These are not the flat ones, these are the rounded ones, and there's two of these, the larger ones of this type of O-ring. All right, what we'll do with this is first of all take the clear hose tail fitting and the blue nut and just simply drop that in there like so. Then we'll take one of these round O-rings and put that on the inside as well, and that just makes it watertight. So you just want to push that down, make it nice and flush on the fitting itself, and then we take this nut and screw it onto the 90-degree bend. All right, you don't have to kill this in terms of tightening it. Hand tight's fine, and if you put it all in and you get a little bit of a leak, then you just snip things up. But don't get tools on it. You don't need to be putting tools onto it. The second O-ring then goes in the other end of the fitting, and again that sits down flush on the black part, the inner part there, like so. All right, so that's our fitting. Now what we do is we actually fix this to the piece that we just put in, and you can hold that and just turn the nut. And again, one of the unique things with this filter is that this nut, you can loosen, move the fitting around. So if you've got your plumbing or your hose coming in from this side, or you want it coming in from the bottom, or you've got it coming in this side, you can adjust it to whatever point you want and then close it off. that makes your life a hell of a lot easier when you're installing it. It's a really good feature. So that's the inlet. Let's just leave that there like so. That's done. All right, let's move on to the sludge drain. Now, if we look at the fittings for the sludge drain, what we've got is the smallest of the round O-rings and this little threaded screwable cap fitting. There's a 2-stage hose fitting with a threaded end. The remaining 2 of the smaller flat washers, and then this nut that, if you're not sure which nut it is, you can try that because it screws into the back of the hose tail fitting, so you can just double check if you weren't sure when you were setting it up that that's the right fitting for that nut. Now what you first of all do is push this little O-ring over the threaded part of the screw-on cap. Now when you have a look at this, your first inclination is to think, geez, that O-ring's too small. It's smaller than the outer part of the thread, but that's okay, and it's designed to be like that. So you simply just push it, just stretch it a little bit when you push it over, and you can pull it back a little bit, but you'll see at the very end there's a recessed part of that fitting, and that's where the O-ring will drop in. And that will also find its place when you do the next step, which is at the front of this hose fitting. You'll see that there's female threaded part in there, and that's where this cap goes. So what you do then is you screw the cap into there like so, and like I said, that would push the O-ring back into place anyway. So that, I just heard the O-ring pop just then. So that screws that in there like so. Then you take your first of the smaller flat O-rings and push that over the threaded part of the hose tail fitting, like so. And now what we do is we push this through the bottom of the tank in the hole down the bottom. And I don't know that it's going to be highly visible here. Let's see how many camera work skills are. But basically what you're doing then on the inside, once this has gone through, is that you'll then put the second washer over the threaded piece and then screw the nut on, and it locks it in watertight. So just to show you that there, so this will go into the hole like so, and then on the inside I'm going to first put the O-ring on and then the nut. And not sure if you can see that in there, everything's black, but I'll now just tighten that up. And that's our sludge drain complete. Now let's move on to the next fitting. Now if we look at the outlet fitting, what you get is this nut. This was the larger of the nuts, and this was the larger of the fittings that has a half thread and half what we call a slip fit. And again, if you're not sure, you just tighten those together to make sure that they fit. We also now have the 2 of the larger flat O-rings, and these will essentially go, so one will go on the outside of the tank, one will go on the inside of the tank, just to make it watertight. What we do with this first of all is get the O-ring fitting and put it over the, I'm not sure if you can hear that, I've got a group of birds fluttering around and jumping all over my tin roof, which is making this a bit distracting, but anyway, Mother Nature at its best. Alright, so one O-ring goes on the outside of the threaded fittings, and then what we do is we just turn the tank around, and you can see that's the outlet there at the top of the tank. I'm not sure if you can see that clearly, but it's up here. And then we will simply push the fitting through. Then we take the other O-ring fitting and we'll flip it over the threaded parts now that they're on the inside of the tank. And now just do that up. Okay, and then we have the outlet. Now with this outlet, let me just show you and talk about a couple of things that we do that you can do with the outlet of this fitting. continuing on with the outlet on the Matala Biosteps 10 filter, this is what you get with the box, out of the box. And what that enables you to do then, and the reason why they don't go any further than that is because everyone's got a different sort of application in how they get the water back into the pond. Some people like to use hose, some people might want to use PVC pipe. Some people might want to change it for a waterfall, which we'll show you a separate video on how to install the Matala waterfall in a minute. But this is the stock standard outlet. What we then suggest that you do is a couple of things. One is you can get some regular PVC pipe. Now this one's black in colour. We use a solar pipe just because it blends in black with the filter itself. It doesn't need to be pressurised, high pressure pipe. Any pipe will do because it's very little, or pretty much no pressure coming out of it. It's just gravity. It doesn't need to be a strong structural pipe. So that's any sort of PVC pipe is fine. You can use either two options, 40mm or 50mm. Now this is a 50mm pipe. The 40mm pipe will actually go on the inside of the fitting, and it forms a very tight fit, a compression fit. So once you get it in there, it won't actually come out. Then you can go out of your pipe and go through elbows and do whatever you want to do to get the water back into the pond. When we use 50mm pipe, we use these rubber couplers, and you can get these from pool shops or irrigation shops, hardware stores, that type of thing. But basically this boot just goes over the top of the filter outlet, and with this particular one that we use, you need to push it all the way back over the nut part of the outlet, like so. And then what you do is get a hose clamp, and that would go on there, and then you would tighten that down and clamp it down. The other end then goes the pipe, the 50mm pipe. Because the 50mm pipe is the same size as the pipe coming out of the filter, you need to couple it using these rubber couplings. So then you would shove your 50mm pipe in there, and before you did that, of course, you put your hose clamp on there and clamp that down as well. And that then also enables you to go out and run down and go through elbows and do whatever you want to do. A lot of the times with these couplings, we will use an elbow coupling straight off the bat, because that then enables you to put it on, and just like the inlet, how you could flex that around and turn it around to different angles, that can allow you to do that so that you can have your pipe running off this direction straight down, maybe into another elbow down the bottom where it can just run straight, or out to the side like that. And then if you want to use hose, you could put a short section of pipe in, and then you can get irrigation fittings that you will connect onto plumbing, and will have barbed hose tails that you can come out. But the main thing is that you don't want to restrict the outlet hose by going any smaller than 40. I'd always recommend going 50mm. It's a good rule of thumb with a filter to go one size higher than the inlet hose that you've got in there. So the Matala, this inlet's designed to take a 40mm hose, which means that I'd like to use a 50mm outlet just to make sure that there's no or less issue or risk of not having water going in but not enough coming out. So just a good rule of thumb to do that. That's what we can do with the outlets. Now let's have a look at what we do to get the actual filter media inside. Okay, now it's time to put the filter media in the filter. So with the Matala filtration, if you watch the explainer video or the unboxing video, you would have seen that there are 3 different colours that come with it. In this case, there's 2 of each. And it's important to get the correct order of the filters because otherwise they won't work as efficiently or as effectively as they can. So if we turn the filter around so that we're facing the inlet again, what you want to do is first of all put your green filters in, and the reason being is that these are more coarse. So the idea is that you go from coarse to fine. So you go green, blue and then grey. That's to make sure that the larger, coarser particles get stuck in here, and then water flows through, and smaller particles get stuck in the blue one and continues to flow through, and then the real fine stuff goes into the grey one, and then the water continues to flow through. So it's progressive filtration step by step. That's what makes Matala media so different, good and unique. Right, and what we do with these is with the stock standard filter as we've got here, you'll see that there's different chambers, 1, 2, 3, 4 along there. What we do first of all is we leave, it's designed to have the first one left open, And then we get the 2 layers of green, and you'll see that these are actually tapered. So this is the right way round, this is the wrong way round. If you go the wrong way round, it won't actually fit down in there. So they're cut on an angle or a taper to make sure that they go in the right way. So you put your green layer in, and your second green layer in. Then you get your 2 blues and put that in the next chamber. And then get your 2 greys and put that in the final chamber. And that's it. And there you'll see you've got the big open space here. And the reason for that is that enables you to put in a UV if you want to put a UV in straight from the start or as an afterthought. If you're not going to use the UV, what you can also do is move these each forward and buy yourself an extra couple of these grey filtration pads, and it's a very low cost way of increasing the capacity of the filter if you're not planning on using a UV. If you are using the UV, if you do decide to do that and fill the chamber completely and then want to use a UV at a later date, that's fine. You just use a UV before the filter. You don't just chop it in the filter. So again, very, very flexible in terms of what you can and can't do with these filters. And the final step is this reinforcing pad or bar. You just pop that over there like so. And that just acts as a reinforcement to make sure that the container is nice and tight. The final step is put the lid on. Now you'll see that there's a cap here, and that is if you are using the UV would come out of there. So that tells you that it goes on the inlet side when you're wanting to orientate the tank, like so. All right, that's it. That's your Matala Biosteps 10U filtration system. Awesome filter. Hopefully it was easy for you to now understand and get your head around how to install it. It is quite simple, no tools needed, other than maybe your outlet if you're gonna use hose clamps. But yeah. Thanks for watching.